Hello students and welcome to yet another class of Fungi. Here we deals with fungal spores. So in previous classes we had seen about the fungal morphology, morphological classification, then systematic classification, then the reproduction, spores, mainly reproduction. Here we deals with spores. Okay, so two types of spores are produced, sexual spores as well as asexual spores. The spores which are formed by fusion of cells and meiosis is known as the sexual spores. So they are formed as a result of meiotic divisions and they are mainly seen among the higher forms like ascomycetes, basidiomycetes, zygomycetes, etc. Now, ascospores are those spores that are produced in the ascus, which are born in ascoscar. And they are mainly produced by ascomycetes. And I have already mentioned in last class that nearly most common type of ascospores is 8 in number. It may be less than 8 or greater than 8. It will be 2, 4 or any other number. But common number is the number of spores produced by ascus is 8 in number. And some of the examples are Penicillium, Aspergillus, then Neurospora, Savoriella, etc. Basidiospores. Basidiospores are produced by basidiomycetes. They are produced in a basidium and the common number is 4. And it may be sometimes 2 or the most common number is 4. Example Puccinia, Auricularia, Ganoderma, etc. So majority of the mushrooms are coming under basidiomycetes. And zygospores are produced by zygomycetes. Okay, so these are the different types of sexual spores: ascospores, basidiospores, and zygospores. An example of zygospores producing fungi are Rhizopus, Mucor, etc. Next type is the asexual spores. Asexual spores are produced as a result of mitotic divisions. Sexual spores are produced as a result of meiotic division, whereas asexual spores are produced as a result of mitotic divisions. Two types of asexual spores are there: vegetative spores and the aerial spores. Now, vegetative spores includes blastospores, arthrospores, and chlamydospores. Blastospores are formed by budding from the parent cell, as in the case of yeast. So here budding will occur. The parent cell produce one or more bud-like protruberance which detach from the parent cell and grow into new individual. Such type of reproduction is very common in budding yeast or Saccharomycetes, where chain of bud may be produced pseudomycelium. So this is the picture of blastoconidia. They are mainly produced in the case of yeast. Arthrospores. Arthrospores are formed by segmentation and condensation of the hyphae. Segments and condensation of the hyphae result in the formation of arthrospores. Then next one is chlamydospores. Similar to chlamydospores, another type of spores are there known as the oidia. In case of oidia, the hyphae break up into component cells or small pieces which behave like spores, and they are called the oidia. And they are generally thin-walled and they do not store food material. And they will germinate immediately after liberation and cannot survive under unfavorable conditions. And chlamydospores are similar to that of oidia, but here they are thick-walled and they are capable of storing reserve food materials. Okay, and they are capable of withstanding long unfavorable condition also. So this is the structure of chlamydospores. Here in the hyphae, the food materials are stored. So the chlamydospores may be intercalary or terminal one, or it may be sessile also. So these thick wall cells are known as the chlamydospores, where they are resting spores. They store reserve food material and they are capable of withstanding unfavorable condition. Then the last type is the aerial spores, or simply they are the spores. The spore protection is the most common form, type, or the aerial spores are the most common type, and they are the minute propagating units which serve in the protection of new individual, and they vary in size, shape and color in different individual. Okay, and this aerial spore or asexual spores are of two types, conidiospores and sporangiospores. Conidiospores or conidia. It can be also called as conidia. Now, sporangiospores are produced inside the sac-like structure called sporangia. So, this is the sporangium, and the sporangiospores are formed in the sporangium. Sometimes these spores are also termed as endospores. And if the sporangiospores are non-motile, they are called aplanospores. Example, mucor, rhizopus. Here the sporangiospores are non-motile. Sometimes they may be motile, and then they are known as zoospores. Motile because of the presence of flagella, and this flagella may be uniflagellate or biflagellate. Uniflagellate means presence of single flagellum, and biflagellate means presence of two flagella. So this sporangiospores, here they are produced in a specialized sac-like structure known as sporangia, and they may be aplanospores when they are non-motile, and they may be zoospores when they are motile. Okay, then conidia or conidiospores. They are actually non-motile spores produced singly or in chains by construction at the tip or lateral side of special hyphae. So here construction will be there at the tip or lateral side of the special hyphal branch known as the conidiophores. And they are produced exogenously. Sporangiospores are produced endogenously, whereas conidiophores are produced exogenously, and they germinate directly by giving out germ tubes. And sometimes this conidia also behave like sporangia, and they are known as conidiosporangia. So these are the two types of spores, conidia and sporangiospores. Conidiospores are produced exogenously and sporangiospores are produced endogenously. Then besides this, other types of spores known as microconidia and macroconidia are also produced. In case of microconidia, they are small and single cell or unicellular. Then macroconidia are large, septate, and they are multicellular. So these are the other types of conidia form, microconidia and macroconidia. So these are the types of asexual reproduction seen in case of fungi. Sexual reproduction is mainly by ascospores, basidiospores and zygospores, and asexual reproduction or the vegetative reproduction is mainly by means of vegetative spore as well as the aerial spores. And vegetative spores include blastospores, arthrospores, oidia formation, chlamydospores, etc. And whereas aerial spores includes they mainly includes the formation of conidia, sporangiosperm, microconidia and macroconidia. Okay, thank you very much.